Let's see here the graph. Weekly earnings, men earn this much and women earn this much. The pink bar refers to graduates, people who have graduated from university, okay? And the yellow bar refers to non-graduates, people who have, or let's just say that graduates here are graduates from the high school, or the GCSE, or the GCE, right, or the GCSE of Britain. Graduate has a general certificate of education, that it's what ثانوي is called in Britain. And people who have not graduated sometimes may just have some subjects that are called A levels. Okay, المستوى الرفيع. A level is مستوى رفيع. I cannot write in Arabic. So مستوى رفيع A level. So let's take a look here at the text here. When organizing your answer, it may also help to group some of the information, which is particularly useful when there is lots of data, as in the graph on the right. Okay, the graph here on the right. There is lots of data. Here there are too many age groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. If you mention every one of them separately, you will waste a lot of time. So try to group this. So it is noticed here that the age group from 25 to 59 earn around £300 a week, which is a lot. £300 a week, maybe. So there are too many age groups. So it helps to group some of them. Okay? For example, this part here, by saying that this age group earns between £300 a week. And of course, don't forget to mention the increase in the earnings as the men age, or as the age increases with men, but the decrease over the same period when we see, or when we talk about women, okay? When they are not educated, of course, uneducated or non-graduates. Okay, what else? Of course, when we take a look at this graph from very far away, you can see that the general earning of men is higher than that of women in all age groups apart from the age group from 16 to 19. Okay, this small bar, 16 to 19, of course, since no one gets graduated before 19 in Britain, there is no pink curve. Okay, so you say overall they earn more, with the exception of 16 to 19 age group. Okay, women or with men, the increase like this, okay, increase steadily with age from £250 to 600 and something pounds. Okay, while the non-graduates earn from have increase in pay, which is a bit less. Okay, a lesser increase in pay from 200 to 500. This in comparison with the women, in which graduates, okay, only experience an increase in pay between 20 and 30, okay, after which their pay stabilizes. And even more, their pay is reduced or falls down steadily with age as they are, or if they are non-graduates. Okay, so you can see here that there's a lot to say about this graph, too much, okay, but when you summarize the information, okay, and group some of the curves together, it becomes easier, it becomes more colorful. Consider what the graph shows. Of course, this is writing about what we have already solved here, so let's take a look at what the test is. Consider what the graph shows and think about the vocabulary and tenses you will use to describe it. Select two significant features of the graph. Overall, is the key word. That's how you begin analyzing, by mentioning something overall. Note some points about the earning power of female graduates by grouping the ages 25 to 59, as we did here, female graduates, 25 to 59. Okay. Note some points about the male graduates by grouping the ages as you feel is appropriate. Okay. If we take a look here, we will see that the ages from 20 to 24 is from 20 here, from this part here until this one. Okay. There is a steady increase in both curves. A steady increase in both curves. And I think in the same situation here, there's only an increase between this and this, right? After which it becomes plateaued and this one drops. Okay? Alright. I hope my voice is clear. Yes. Let's get back here to consider the comparisons we will make. Of course, the pay with the males increases, but the females stays the same. And think about the final point, which is males have a better earning opportunity than females. That's it. You will lose marks in IELTS if you interpret the important information inaccurately. However correct your answer may be grammatically. So you also need to show that you can understand curves. I know that the IELTS test might be a bit different from your typical English test, okay? In that now they're not testing English, they're testing how you understand graphs and how you understand pie charts, and in this situation here, how you understand a certain engineering process. But it's more about showing that you understand in English, okay? It's clear that you should be able to understand graphs like these if you are taking IELTS for an academic purpose, okay? Otherwise, if you don't understand graphs like these, so there's no point in taking IELTS academic, because I don't think you will be it will be acceptable to go to a university while not understanding a graph or a drawing like this. And by the way, this drawing describes a process. So this is completely different from whatever we talked about earlier before. Here we are describing something being made, okay? We have to explain what is being drawn here to the examiner, okay? In the writing task 1, you may occasionally be asked to describe a process or other pictorial information on a picture, such as a cycle or a map. And by the way, one of the tests had a map. Okay, it was the map of an island, okay, something like this, an island, alright, and this island was empty. The second picture had the same island but with some buildings and resorts being built here and there, okay, and you had to explain the differences between the island before the resort was built, resort منتجع سياحي, and after the resort was built. So it's very important to understand maps as well. In order to produce a report describing a process, you should take a similar approach to the one you use in describing data. Okay, what's the similar approach? Far, close. You should examine the information carefully, which will be in pictorial form, and make sure you understand it. Understand the information. Understand the information. Look specifically at the beginning and end of the process. Where is the beginning here? I think there it is. And the end here. That's the beginning and end of the process. Then, following the same principle as outlined in previous units, you should provide an opening sentence that summarizes the overall function of the process. So, remember to mention the overall function or the overall trend in the previous graph here, the overall understanding. Overall, here, men earn more than women. Or in that curve here, Men run faster or better than women. Okay? Here, this is a ship that, what? Let's say Venice. Okay? Venice is a city in Italy. If you remember, or if you know Venice, it's actually the city that has canals, terra instead of streets. Okay? And you go through Venice by boat. So they're saying, I think that Venice is sinking and we need to find a way to prevent the buildings from sinking more and more into the water. So what is it? We have suction pump, rotating blades. Okay, we have mud, I think, mud. Okay, we have hydraulic arms to lower the centrifugal pump, this pump. And we have large tube to carry mud and shuttle boat towed out of the city for dumping. So I think they are, shall we say, suction pump. That's the pump, not this one. Sorry, that's blades. And this is a pump, that pump here. A new silent dredging boat means in future there will be no need to drain canals for cleaning. Okay, so it appears that this dredging boat or cleaning boat, okay, is used to clean the canals of Venice, okay, without having to empty the canals of water. So you can just leave the water in the canals and just empty it using these blades and this pump to pump it outside the city. Okay? Otherwise, you would have, let's say that this is the canal, right, and this is the water. Here, I hope you can see the blue ink. Alright? You would have to take this water out and then you use whatever means you have to clean the dirt that has accumulated on the bottom. الطينة في القاع نضفها ازاي. But using this dredge boat, right, we clean the canal without emptying it. So let's see here. Right? This is an example writing, by the way. So we won't have to write anything for this one. Let's first take a look at some of the verbs that we will use. What will we use here? A new silent dredging boat. So this is new, that we will be need. So this is futuristic. So this diagram illustrates a plan that can be used or that might or will be used in the future to save the engineers or to be able to clean the canals of Venice without having to drain them. Okay? And then we will say that these rotating blades peel away, or not take, but they peel away at the mud, all right, to remove any mud from the canal. These are the blades that peel away at the mud, okay, and then they are being pumped. The mud is being pumped by a suction pump through a large tube that carries that mud to a shuttle boat that is towed out of the city for dump. Okay? Decide some suitable connectives. Alright, what should you avoid doing when you link the stages in the process? Don't use connections too often, and try to not, what should we say here? Try not to say while, right? Just say maybe then. Don't try to use then over and over again. Don't say rotating blades peel away at the mud. Then suction pump pumps it through the large tube. Then the shuttle boat takes. No. Try using it maybe firstly, secondly, and thirdly. This is a very good expression to use here. Secondly, okay, and thirdly, these are expressions that you can use instead of then. Here you are. Firstly, secondly, third. So firstly, rotating blades erode the mud from the bottom of the canal. Then a suction and then a suction pump pushes it through a large tube. Finally, the large tube leads into the shuttle boat, which is then towed out of the city for pumping. Decide what tenses you will use. Of course, we are talking about the present simply because we are describing a process. We are not describing history, we are describing what should happen. So, will. Or, of course, in the passive. So, we use present simple, passive. If necessary, you can jot down a few notes on the answer sheet, and these can be crossed out when you have finished and will not be numbered. Remember, if you have any mistakes, just cross them out like this, and they will never be marked. By the way, you are allowed to use a pencil again. So, when you are in your writing exam, use a pencil and have an eraser handy. I don't have an eraser. Here it is. I have an eraser. Okay. Use this eraser. I think here it is. This is an eraser. You can use erasers like these to just correct your mistake without having to scribble a lot. Okay. Of course, this is something personal. But let's say that I am an examiner and I see someone who has crossing out here and here and here and there and there, and then he has crossed out here and here and here, and then he has written maybe then something here and here. Okay, so he has written a small paragraph at the end, but after lots of scribbling. This can show a bit of uncertainty. إنك مش متأكد أنت بتكتب. And this is not a good. This does not send a good image. Okay, so try to use an eraser where possible. Use erasers. Now this is the answer. Okay, this is our answer. And I suggest that this will be the last slide of our session today. Some words and phrases have been italicized for discussion. We will discuss these, but again we will just read them first. The diagram illustrates how a new dredging boat will be used in the future to drain canals in Venice of mud. The boat will carry a suction pump with rotating blades. On the end of it, which will be lowered into the canal by two hydraulic arms. These rotating blades will stir up the mud. Okay, stir up the mud called slurry. Okay, stir up. When you stir a cup, let's say that this is a cup of or a glass of tea. Okay, this is tea here, shay. Okay, and the tea is here. Maybe something like this. All right. Of course, you would have some sugar lying on the bottom here. Maybe something like this, more or less. Sugar lying at the bottom here. You need a spoon to stir, okay, this sugar and make it dissolve into the tea. So stir up is to lift from the bottom of the canal. Stir up the mud called slurry. Is slurry mentioned here? Mud or slurry. Slurry in between quotations. So cold stirring. Slurry. On the bottom of the canal, and this will then be sucked up by the centrifugal pump. From the pump, the mud will be discharged through a large tube into a shuttle boat located behind the dredging boat. When the shuttle boat is full of mud. Sorry about this mistake here. So is full of mud. It will be towed out of the city, and the mud will be dumped. Okay, so he has explained what the paragraph is, and I think it's exactly 150 words. So of course, these linking sentences that I have circled, or linking words and phrases that I have circled, right, with which, and then these rotating blades will stir up, okay, this will then be sucked from the pump through a large. All of these linking words and places here are used to help you link the information and the parts of the map together. Okay? So, let's take a look at the final drawing here, and we try to understand what this is. It's very hard, yes. The diagram below shows how the water cycle works. The water cycle. So let's begin. River flows into the sea, evaporation. Alright, invisible water vapor, which is carried by the wind, okay, inland. This is called inland. من الأراضي الداخلية أو قبلي, inland. Alright, so we call this place inland. Alright, where it's joined by more vapor from transpiration from plants and trees. Okay, as they move on to higher ground, I would say that this is more or less a mountain. Okay, cloud cools further, causing rain, and it rains onto the mountain. The porous rock helps carries the water. Sorry, the mountain goes then to two directions. One is to the rivers and one to the underground waters. Right? These rivers end up to the water carried downstream by a river, and there is lakes and rivers that have evaporation, of course, to the transpiration. So, I'm not going to write this, but I'm going to say it myself. Water stored in sea evaporates due to the sun's heat that causes evaporation. I have not got any information for myself. I didn't say that that sun's heat causes evaporation from my own accord. Sun's heat causes evaporation. So the sun's heat causes the evaporation of water from the sea into invisible water vapor. This invisible water vapor is carried by the wind inland and is then joined by more vapors from the transpiration from plants and trees, in addition to water vapor or water vapor that has evaporated from lakes and rivers. This mixture, I'm talking about this, and this. So I'm talking about this invisible water vapor. I'm talking about this mixture of this, this, and that one, alright, is then carried towards the mountain where the clouds cool further, causing rain. Rain is then divided into two, or not divided into two, splits among two paths. The first path is, or goes to the nearby rivers, alright, the nearby rivers, which then flow to the sea, alright, and which then flows to the sea and to the lakes, where the water evaporates again to join the cycle at the beginning, and the other half flows through the porous rocks, okay, through the porous rocks, the porous rocks, into the deep underground water or groundwater, which in turn flows into lakes, rivers, and seas to complete the cycle. So you can see here that you can describe the cycle in order. Here, then, so you begin here, and here, and here, or you can begin here. So water from the clouds flow into rain. This rain joins rivers, or the underground water, which then flow into lakes, rivers, and seas, the river and the underground water, both of them. And so they then flow into lakes, rivers, and seas. Okay. Or lakes and seas, to be more exact. The water in lakes evaporates into water vapor, okay? And in seas, the water also evaporates. So we can say that the water here and the water in the sea both evaporate into water vapor and then are then joined or are merged together, the one from lakes and the one from the sea. They merge together inland to form these clouds, which are also joined by transpiration to form the clouds over the mountains. Whatever your style is, wherever you begin, you will find, or you should actually find, a method to complete the cycle. Okay, here's the drawing as usual. And with this one, I will conclude my lecture for today, and indeed the entire first task academic. After that, I will just review very quickly what we have taken in the writing in session 9, and it's about time we have taken the final module of the test, or the final type of the test, which is the speaking module, which for some people, or which for some of you could be considered a bit difficult, but with the strategies that I will explain in the next session, it will be much easier than you would expect. Until then, I would like to thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you very much. Okay, I said that already.